Okay, you guys, I'm typing in that I'm going live now. Live now. All right. Golly. Okay, let me see if I can switch this over to the other stream. Boy, what? I'm so sorry, you guys. My internet provider or stormed or whatever does not make this easy. Okay, so hopefully, you guys, I see there's 5 of you in here, so that's good. All right, let's try this again. All right, welcome. Yay. All right, so we're talking about Saori and freeform art weaving. I'm going to start from the beginning because I think because I think this is going to be what ends up being linked in the show notes. All right. So to start over, Saori and freeform weaving, and I'm not here to talk smack about either one. I'm here to kind of talk about what the difference is between them, and actually they're really kind of the same thing. Saori weaving and freeform art weaving have that same theory of kind of going with your inspirations in the moment and losing all the rules that you think about weaving. And the difference is Saori is a trademark. Saori is a trademark around practice that's from Japan, and it's around this loom that they have created and I'll talk about the loom in a minute. But it's a lot of the similar techniques. And to become a certified Saori weaver, you go through, this mentorship. You go through a program. You take the lessons. You have a teacher. You have to test before a group. Then that they decide that you can become a Saori weaver or not. So it's this big kind of thing. And as I said in the other video, I am in a bunch of Saori groups online, and I love Saori. Saori totally inspires what I do today. That is me wishing I had a Saori loom, but they're really pricey, but they're worth it. I mean, there's a lot of innovation in these looms that's pretty awesome, but it's worth kind of saving your money for one of those looms and taking a class from a teacher, and if you feel called to it, then to become a Saori weaver, which is pretty freaking awesome, then going through the program. It's kind of like being a master knitter. It's this different kind of weaving. Anyway, I've only taken a few classes, and there's a teacher that is in Chapel Hill. Her name's Dawn Hummer, and she has a studio out of her home, which is just a lovely place. And she teaches classes. She teaches classes at fiber art festivals, through the Weavers Guild in my area, out of her home. She belongs to a gallery. She's taught through that gallery as well, and she's traveled to teach classes. So she's, she does a lot of teaching, and it's really amazing. But she also teaches, not on the Saori loom. She also teaches on the same type of rigid heddle looms that a lot of us use for our art weaving. But at the same time, I think because she's a certified Saori teacher, then she can still call it Saori. I could be teaching a very similar thing, but I'm not a certified Saori teacher. I haven't gone through all the process of working with the mentor and going before the Saori people to be approved to be called a Saori teacher. But I feel that the freeform art weaving has a lot of similar techniques and a lot of the similar philosophies. And I think freeform is not as strict about the philosophies. Now, I know in the Facebook groups, and again, I'm going to post those group links in the show notes, as well as a link to Dawn's website, so you can check out, what she has to offer. But the freeform art weaving is very similar. They use a rigid heddle loom, and I think I was going to say, okay, so the Facebook groups, I know that they are pretty strict about what you post in the Saori groups, and they're pretty strict about it having to follow certain certain philosophies of the Saori as well as be on woven on a Saori loom. So it's, but I don't think that weaving on the loom makes it Saori as much as it is if you've learned, gone through the school and learned the process. I mean, that's what I know. Okay. So freeform, I also find that freeform art weaving, at least for me, the freeform art weaving that I do was found out of having a lot of hand spun yarn and wondering what to do with it. Just straight up. And also too, I tend to use a lot of sock yarn in my freeform art weaving because I have a lot of sock yarn. I used to have a yarn business and I used to dye a lot of sock yarn. So that's what I use for warp. It's sock yarn sturdy enough to use as a warp. So I've used that, and I also use a lot of my hand spun. And when I weave with kind of knowing that I want to incorporate this wild hand spun art yarn. Saori tends to be, I find it seems like the weaving overall is finer. I don't think it necessarily has to be the case. I have seen a lot of chunky art yarns woven in Saori weaving, but they, you can get these. Okay, one of the things that's really awesome about the Saori looms is that it's a floor loom, and it's most of them are 2 shafts. They have come out with a 4 shaft loom, but I think they kind of were hesitant to do the 4 shaft because they think that the 2 shaft loom kind of opens you up to play with color and texture a little more. And I get it, because when I try to do freeform weaving on my loom, I don't use the patterning as much on my floor loom. I don't use the patterning as much as I do just using, the just regular tabby type weaving. So with the Saori looms, they have this awesome thing where instead of having to spend hours warping this floor loom traditionally, that they have to where the warp can just pop out. They have it on this bar already wound onto the bar, and the whole bar can just pop out. For that matter, you can also pop out, the whole innard sections, with your shafts and your reed, and you can pop all of that out and change up projects within that same loom. And I think, and this innovation is awesome because you can buy pre-wound warps to pop into your loom. And most of these warps are more like traditional weaving yarn, the thin, cottony, rayon-y type of stuff. They do have some wools, I think, and silk, but for the most part, they're that thin weaving yarn like you would get at Webb's or Halcyon. But it's, Saori has you can buy these pre-wound warps, and you can just pop them out. And I think the theory is behind doing that is it gets you, I could spend days dressing my floor loom, but with the Saori loom, I mean, you pop it in, you pull it through the reed and the heddles, and you're done. And so it saves you a lot of time and gets you into that place of doing that creative weaving as opposed to dressing the loom. So that's another difference. And there's so many wonderful little innovations with those looms. They're just wonderful. Like I said, I have them on my wish list. I do. And I thought that I would want a 4-shaft loom. And while their 4-shaft looms are wonderful, I really like the little bitty piccolo, the little metal one. For some reason, the portability and ease of that tiny loom is just wonderful. And maybe it's the same reason why I like the little samplet looms over like a bigger rigid heddle loom. So that's what I see as the difference. It's really minor. I mean, the both practices are pretty similar, but like I said, at the same time, I don't feel right going and posting anything saying I'm a Saori weaver, because I'm not. I haven't been formally trained. I've taken a class, and I don't use a Saori loom, but I do love the philosophies. I do love the being in the moment of letting the inspirations just come through you, and it's just a really beautiful practice. And I think, I try to embody a lot of that with the type of freeform art weaving that I do, and I'm hoping that I do embody that. So, and I think too, for me, the freeform art weaving, is what fits with the yarns that I have in my stash, and that's because I consider myself a hand spinner first and foremost, as well as I have a lot of sock yarn from when I used to have my yarn business, and sock yarn actually makes really good warp. So there you have it. That's what I've got. The difference between Saori and freeform art weaving. So if you haven't signed up already, and I think most of you guys who follow me have gone through this and have found me through this, but I do offer a free getting started art weaving class, and it just kind of talks about, it just shows you, talks about picking a rigid head loom and shows you some of the techniques that I use to just do some really basic art weaving, and helps you open you up. It's something that I offer for free when you sign up for my newsletter. So I'm going to put a link I think there is a link in the comments below. I'm definitely going to put a link in the show notes to that. Anyway, so does anybody have any questions? And yes, this connection does seem much better. And I'm so sorry about the technical difficulty. I'm hoping that most of you guys, it looks like most of you guys made it over. So Raven, Epiphany, London, Sue, and Robin, and Kathy, and Gail, and Kathy, I'm so glad you guys found me over here. Yeah, I'm going to be calling my network, my internet provider when I get off the phone. So, all right, any questions? I don't think I'm seeing any. Nope, it looks like I don't have any. All right, so that's what I have for you, and thanks for joining me, and I will be back next Wednesday with another live. I'm going to put those show notes on the blog for where you can find information about Saori and my teacher, and about the looms, and I have to go back through and see what else I told you guys I was going to put notes about. Alright, finally great to catch a live. So yay, Jasmina, I'm glad you were able to catch it too. Can you do a class on starting and ending a weave? Yeah, I probably can, Tracy. It's on starting and ending. I do have a live cast on finishing, where I talk about doing a hem stitch, if that's what you're talking about. I can post a link to that. And starting, Tracy, I'm wondering, are you in the Beyond the Basics class? Because if so, the art yarn warps class really shows you how to warp a loom. Is that what you mean? Can you do on class starting ending a weaving project? Yes, please. Do research on Saori. Good, thanks. Oh, glad. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it. Okay, starting and ending a weaving project. Is it more than the hem stitch and fringe twisting? Yes, yeah. So I think, like I said, I'll post something. Are you on the Facebook group for Beyond the Basics, Tracy? I'm going to wait for that answer. Anyway, because if you are, I can post, yes, I mean how to neatly start your project and then ending it off. Okay, yeah, let me look, because I feel like I have some video on that already, and it might be in the Getting Started Art Weaving, on starting that. And if you mean warping, then that's going to be in a really good video of how to warp is for the Art Yarn Warps class. It would be similar with the other one, but I'll post some links to that in the show notes as well, and that'll help you. I'm not in on Facebook. Okay, then I will. You know what? I'll post something in the Beyond the Basics. How's that sound? because I think you're in the Beyond the Basics. I think that's what you said. Anyway, but yeah, there's some information. I think it's already, there's some stuff already in video on how to do the finishing and the starting, and I believe it. Let me do a little research on that. It might take a few days, but I feel certain that I already have some video on that I can point you to. So, and I'll either post it in the Beyond the Basics class interface or in the show notes of this for the blog for this video. Anyway, all right. I'm going to wait and see if there's any more questions. And I don't think there are. Okay, so check out the show notes. It might be a couple days before I get the show notes up. But I will post show notes on the stuff that we talked about and the stuff for you, Tracy. And that's it. I guess I will see you guys next week. All right. Thanks for being patient about the tech issues. Whew, what a nightmare. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.